up a seat at the bar to join us for another episode of McAnally's Pubcast, a podcast exploring the fun and fantastical mind of Jim Butcher's The Dresden Files series. Hosts Tanzan, Maggie, and me bring you another round of literary analysis on this immense, immersive, and colorful environment inhabited by Harry Dresden, the world's only licensed private investigator and professional wizard. Join an active and engaged community of new and die-hard dedicated fans focused on the fabulous themes, theories, characters, context, lore, and more. This is McAnally's Dresden Files Pubcast by Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.
Welcome to the McAnally's Pubcast, brought to you by Free Flow Rambling. This is episode 12.10, Revolutionary Boink, Czar, where we are covering the novel Blood Rites. My name is Tanzan, and I'm joined by Maggie.
Hello, hello.
And Jess.
There was a boy. A very strange, enchanted boy.
Moulin Rouge.
Yeah.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah. Best movie ever.
Chapter 13. Dresden contacts Murphy, and she provides some background history on Arturo. An assailant attacks Harry with a poisoned blowgun dart. Harry calls upon Murphy. She's found some interesting rumors in her research. Arturo is from a big family money, or from big family money. That sounds weird.
Money? Big family, big money?
Yeah. that landed on hard times and debt, so he left Greece to avoid the debt and ended up being a success in pornography and investments.
Go figure, hey?
Dude's worth $4 million.
Yeah, not bad.
That's not bad at all.
That's not terrible. I don't know what your average... I mean, aside from... Not Larry Fowler. Larry...
King?
No, not Larry King either. What the hell was... Hugh Hefner and Larry Flint. That was the other, major... porn mag star guy, I think, wasn't it? Was Larry Flint. Anyways, but I don't know if 4 million is, I'm guessing that's probably not the average for most porn producers out there.
I don't know, maybe.
I don't know.
I mean, it seems like a pretty lucrative industry.
It does, but there's also a lot. I don't know. I was going to say maybe that's why we've got this porn syndicate trying to buy them all up, because it's like there's too many people out there, it's spread around too much. Just need to bring them all in and just make all the money in one place.
We also find out that Genosa only has 36 hours to complete the film, or he loses the studio entirely.
See, I'm thinking Genosa must be clean, because the fact that he left Harry to just snoop around his office and wasn't like, hey, what are you doing? Let's go, man. Why are you in my office? Let's go. Don't look around here.
He doesn't even ask or anything like that, 'cause that's the thing. And I'm like, I get part of it, fine, under the cover that obviously Harry is here to, Genosa knows he's here to do more and whatever, so he's going to give him, more access. But I was like, again, I'm like, if you really were just, first day production assistant and you only got the job not because you're the least bit qualified, but because it's, a friend of a friend, and then they're like, okay, let's go to this, I'm like, okay, yeah, he asked you up to his office because he wanted to talk to you, but then they're all like, hey, let's go down to set, and you're like, I'm just going to stay, and, not even hey, I really need to make a phone call, do you mind if I, you know what I mean? I'm like, I can imagine doing that to, my boss on the first day, be like, yeah, you guys go, I'm just going to hang out in your office and use your phone.
Harry's not too concerned about keeping his identity.
He's not.
Whatever. I mean, I'm not getting fired, okay?
Well, and that's just it, right? Is he's not. And again, obviously, Arturo's like, yes, I need you to investigate and do, so of course I'm going to make allowances. But it's just kind of funny that I'm like, even just from that point of view, he just doesn't, he's not like, hey, Arturo, can I use your office? He just automatically assumes, I'm like, hey, you paid me to be here. I'm just going to do what I want while I'm here, and you're just going to deal with it,
Pretty much.
Pretty much. But yeah, and then not only that, but just let me just go through the drawers while I'm here. Let me see what I can find out. I don't need to have a conversation.
Look at this scrapbook.
Right? I don't need to ask you about you, Arturo. I'm like, that's fine. I'll just find out for myself what I need to know about my...
That's what I'm saying, though. It wasn't like,
yeah.
Laura, please stay with Dresden and help him, make it to the production room, or
he needs her on set, so.
It's I'll wait for you, no problem. But he was just like, yeah, sure, office is yours, bye.
Yeah, exactly, right? Just whatever. So yes, I guess Genosa is as genuine as he appears.
He's just so proud. He leaves the magazines like, oh, did I leave that out on the desk? You weren't supposed to go through those.
I think that's part of why I like Genosa.
Revolutionary? Oh, well.
How random that he was on Oprah.
I know, right?
Because Oprah is all about the porn industry, I'm sure.
Right? Well, I'm sure if you've got a revolutionary that...
Well, I was going to say, we already know Larry Fowler books anyone, but Oprah is very impressive.
But it's Larry Fowler's
King.
Larry King.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, that was why
I made a note for myself not to be confused with Fowler.
Yes.
I fully was confused by that.
Because Fowler would definitely be all for it.
Yeah, that'd be a dime. But like Genosa's too good for that. It's like Genosa's like, no, I don't do just the cheap hack kind of. And then I think that's the thing too. Like it's funny jokingly, but you know, it's like the fact that I'm like he doesn't have a brag book. Like you know, it's like he's not narcissistic like that. And I can only assume from what I've heard and seen and what is depicted, you know, that a lot of producers are very narcissistic to be good. And I can only imagine in like porn and stuff like that, right? You know, but again, it's like he's not all about that, right? He's all about, oh, like my people are getting hurt. I just want to make this movie. And, you know, I just, you know, like considering the profession in the industry, you know,
Small
he's
business owner versus big business owner.
Exactly, right? Like so much more down to earth and just like, oh, I just want to, you know, make my little film and go on. Not anything to do with the fact that I'm like, like, yeah, baby, let's go. You know?
I love some of the word choices that are like used so it doesn't sound trashy. Like, he avoids gynecological close-ups.
Well, and again, and this is so very much Harry, too, right? Like, he even specifically says it here talking to Murphy. He's like, she's probably my best friend, but I'm like, I can't actually say that word to her, right?
Girl.
She's a girl. And then, yeah, so it just makes it all the better when Murphy goes on and picks just about every word ever known. Or even though, sorry, the cue when he says, yeah, revolutionary bonks. And she's like, how do you even become that? He's like, practice, practice, practice. Just like, shut up. But I do have to kind of wonder a little bit here. So again, he doesn't focus on the gynecological shots, and he thinks that sex is natural. Which I have to admit, I went the same place Murphy did when I heard it. do you know that one, Jess?
No.
You don't know George Michael?
No.
Sex is natural. Sex is good. Not everybody does it, but everybody should.
No.
Something, blah, blah, blah. And sex is best when it's one on one.
Oh, that cleared it up.
That one, yeah.
Yeah, that. Yeah. Oh, I've definitely heard that before.
Yes, that one. I thought Tans would have been busting out a few bars for us.
I'm not sure I know that. Like, remember that one off the top of my head, which is not coming to me.
Oh. It's one of the few, because again, that wasn't really family-approved music in my household growing up.
Is that what that reference is? It's
That
George
is-
Michael lyrics?
Yeah.
Well, I missed that.
I see that now. That's why you're not busting out the...
That's why we're looking confused at you. What?
Yeah. I Want Your Sex. That's what it's called.
Oh, maybe I have then.
So anyways, so he goes on about the whole thing, but I'm like, which is good, which is great, which is wonderful, but I'm like, you're not really representing that in this particular, and maybe it's just this particular film, you know, you'd have to look at his whole body of work. I was like, everybody on this set is gorgeous. You know, he's like, he doesn't pick just the gorgeous dancer, whatever, right?
They're not surgically altered.
They're not surgically altered, but he, you know, again, he says or whatever, right? That it's like,
variety of age
cast
ranges.
people of a lot of different, ages instead of using only 21-year-old dancers and blah, 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 right? I was like, it just so happens, though, like, I mean, maybe not the exceptional, I mean, again, they're not all Lara's level, but I'm like, again, well...
Still has to sell. She's not going to pick somebody fugly.
No,
Or with a scar on their face.
okay, but they were talking with the whole general of her career, not just whether Genosa would cast her again. But yes, I just, whatever, considering, you know, the different, because I'm like, there's not that wide a range here. Like, okay, Jake and Emma are...
The biggest question is that he's casting based off of chemistry between the actors and actresses, which means Emma and Jake and Trixie and all of them are just getting along fine.
Yeah, at least on camera. Because, yeah, it doesn't sound like Trixie would get along with anybody, but yes.
And you guys made a mention that, like Murphy drops all of the different terms for boobs.
I like big ones, small ones, size of basketball ones, real ones, fake ones, jiggle and the shake ones, tatas, honkers, man, they drive me bonkers. I really, really, really like boobs.
But Harry, the way he leads into that conversation is he's like motioning it.
And he's like miming over the phone.
You're on the phone, dude.
I know, so it makes it even better. He's like, and the fact that you can probably picture that Murphy's figuring he's right, because she obviously picks up where he's going with this, right? But yeah, I love that he's like actually has to like cup the phone to use like both hands. I'm like, that does seem like a very guy or shy or some kind, you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I can totally pick up on that.
Either way,
Yeah.
Genosa has endeared himself to Harry. Harry likes him enough, thinks he's a genuinely good guy.
Yeah, he pretty much vouches for him right there. He's like, yeah.
And he's like, yeah, because he's like, I don't know if I would have sort of beforehand, but he's like, yeah, the more I get to know and see about this, he's like, he does seem like he's just kind of a good guy and not some sleazy. And Murphy here gets a little, right, like, or she's like, I hate to sound cynical or whatever, but, you know, people in these kinds of professions bring it on. And even Harry's just like, yeah, wow, that is cynical. It's like, okay, but you were kind of thinking that too, Harry.
Ever since I became a part of this world, I'm getting like a new worldview that you don't understand, Murph.
Right? 12 hours can change your life. Probably
You
not
don't even get it.
It's not even, because weren't they supposed to be back at like 3 o'clock? So he showed up at 8, and then I don't even know how long they were
Actually,
there.
really great point, because in a couple of chapters, I'm gonna get really fidgety about the time. So what time is it right now, guys?
Well, he was supposed to be back. Joan told everybody to come back at 3 o'clock.
And he was a little bit
A
late.
couple minutes late, he said. He wasn't very late. So
Exactly. So we're maybe 3:15 right now, okay?
3:15, 3:13.
Yeah, I don't
Depending
know.
on how long that conversation was.
All right, let's just keep this going for the next few chapters, okay?
Okay.
I've got another issue to point out later, okay?
So after his 7 hours in the industry, another like 5 of which he was sent away and wasn't unsaid. But exactly, he's like, listen, now I know when you're on this side of it, Murph.
Which is then to say that he's too embarrassed to actually go downstairs and participate in any of it.
While Harry and Murphy continue to talk, Harry is overwhelmed by a feeling of apprehension as a shadowy figure enters the room. And, of course, he just immediately grabs the ashtray and throws it at him. Ah!
Yeah, I love how that's convenient. It was like, oh, now we know why Arturo was like smoking in his office and all that, even though, you know, he can't smoke in buildings and stuff anymore, because he needed a very convenient, big, heavy glass ashtray, not like some cheap plastic dollar store cigarette ashtray or anything.
Also, didn't we just have this conversation like 1 or 2 episodes ago? You were still somewhat allowed to smoke in buildings still at this point.
Yeah.
2004? Yeah? Okay.
Totally.
Okay.
If I can remember adult smoking in buildings, it had to have been early 2000s.
And it's a private venue.
Yeah, well, yeah, I
He owns the studio, really.
suppose, but...
Yeah.
Except nobody's, like, leasing this studio, isn't he, until... Anyways,
Well, it doesn't matter.
regardless,
Who's gonna
it doesn't
call him
matter.
out here?
It's a
It does-
warehouse, like...
It's yes, fine.
Clearly,
regardless of whether he should or shouldn't be. But.
well stationed enough here to bring all of his magazines from people.
His scrapbook. Okay, I was like, what? Yeah, okay. I guess he's entrenched enough in his office that he's got personal belongings there. I see what you're saying. Anyways, yes, regardless of all that, but yes, he grabs a big, heavy glass ashtray. And I like how they like turn out like all the lights in the hall and everything like that, and then just like appear in the doorway and like...
I love he's just straight off of instinct, like, doesn't even think about it, just chucks this thing.
There's moments when, like, yeah, the only thing I can picture is just complete cartoons. Like,
It's Mandy and the AED machine all over again.
I really hope he doesn't suffer from any paranoia, because, like, those poor people around him that he just hits with random things.
Right?
oh, we already know he does suffer from paranoia.
Yeah, it just makes me think when we did the first aid thing and she had to bring in the AED and she just like grabs it and chucks it at the next person and like runs away kind of a thing. It was like, Harry's just like, wow, and really goes.
Relatable, I get it.
It is, but you're right. It also, from any number of shows, but specifically I'm thinking of an episode of Corner Gas where Wanda's trying to get somebody to like babysit her kid, and same thing, they like, so-and-so did it once, and then you like look over and the guy's like playing pinball, and like every 5 seconds he like twitches and like jerks over his shoulder. Like, you know, and they're like, that's just Harry. It's like in his paranoia, he's just constantly like... Right.
Well, in this case, he has, rights to be a little bit paranoid since, he narrowly escapes getting tagged by a dart.
Darted. He does. Well, he sets it up in his first book. He's like,
And poisoned.
just because you're paranoid doesn't mean there isn't a demon about to eat your face.
Poison dart is fun.
It's fun.
Cool way to go.
It's different. It's definitely a new one.
Who thinks I'm just gonna carry around a poison dart with me? That's
You have
that's like twirling mustache villainy.
You have to own darts and poison. And a blow straw thing that fits a dart.
The blowgun?
Is it called a blowgun?
It is called a blowgun.
Great. That's definitely what I said.
Straw is less intimidating.
Not if you're a turtle. But yeah, right. I'm like, I guess it makes sense that it's less obvious per se than like, you're not as likely to set off anything going out with like a gun or even like carrying a big old knife around. More of a distance weapon. But yeah, exactly. Not what you typically expect to find in the usual.
Not a 21st century weapon in Chicago.
No, which...
It's a curious choice.
But Harry, he's so optimistic, okay? This just proves I'm on the right track. So,
Well, there's
to
that.
go.
I was gonna say, especially against Harry or whatever. What was it? Was that? Oh, you just said 21st century or whatever. Whatever that last comment was. That
21st century Chicago.
No, yeah. But I was like, actually, that is kind of an interesting because again, if you know anything about Harry, which we don't know if they know what and who he is, it's not gonna fuck up like a gun might. So I guess there could be logic in using a weapon like that. That maybe it wasn't
Something non-technological.
Foolproof.
Yeah, it's not gonna jam or anything. If
And more
you-
subtle than bow and arrow.
Unless they suck in instead of blow
And
up.
that's all I ever think of. Again, I swear it's too many cartoons. I always think of that, of the action, like he's gonna startle them throwing the ashtray at them. They're gonna go,
Very satire, I like it.
very, very. But yeah, so he jumps up to go and just about trips over the folk, which I'm impressed because we all kind of have done that. But again, with a much bigger, larger guy, I'm impressed that you it caught you enough to stumble, but not enough for you to rip the cord out of the wall as you tripped over it. Right? Because if you've caught it enough to stumble, I was like, you're very lucky that you didn't actually.
Butcher really didn't want the cops to show up to this place. He's like, can't alert Murphy. We're good. Phone stays plugged in.
Yeah. We're not gonna have everybody suddenly showing up. Yeah. Well, and suddenly realize it's actually kind of sweet. She's all freaking out. She's like, Harry.
Yeah, so he pockets the dart.
kind of in
Saves
here.
it for later.
Yeah.
Why not?
Which again, the convenience of Genosa having had a cigar. He's now got a handy weapon and an evidence case to put this dart in. Now he's got a little plastic tube instead of trying to shove it in his pocket or a plastic baggie or something.
Accidentally poisoning himself in the thigh.
Right, or reaching into, or his puppy that keeps ending evidence. Oh shit! Sorry, Tom. There's 3 in there. The poison dart in my pocket. Drop the puppy in again. Yeah, but yes, you're right. Very optimistic. I'm on the right track. I think someone just tried to kill me. Thank you to our Patreon subscribers for your generous support. It's people like you who help us to do what we do. If you're not yet a Patreon subscriber, sign up today and get a fuck ton of bonus content, kick-ass merch, behind-the-scenes outtakes, and more. Sign up today at www.patreon.com/freeflowrambling.
Chapter 14. Dresden makes his way to the set and is assigned to assist Joan. Filming kicks off without a hitch, but near the end of the night, Harry comes across a mysterious figure fleeing the set. Harry apprehends the figure, who turns out to be Thomas. Just before Dresden can get any answers from him, Lara has snuck up and intervened.
Despite the fact that we have read the book, and we presume everyone else who is listening to this has read the book, sometimes your chapters seem like spoilers. I'm like, whoa, I didn't get there yet.
I know.
Even though I've read that 8 times today.
I know. I always feel a little bit like that too, and I have to remind myself that exactly right. That it's yes, at least for the episode they're listening to, presumably they have read up to this point with us,
Right.
and we are just. But yeah,
Well, I sure hope so, because then it's
well, it does, right? 'Cause
everything we say then in the entire episode is...
exactly.
I'm just I was gonna drop the bombshell. It was Thomas later in the episode, and you just did it now.
yeah, exactly. That's what I guess. I was like, wait, what? Oh, well, yeah, I guess that's not a reveal.
Okay, fine. They own the books too.
yeah. Right.
All right. I guess they're allowed to read them as well.
But yeah, exactly. That moment in. So yes, Ruby goes, get out of there, Harry.
No, Murph.
Which is kind of sweet, but also kind of funny again. I'm like, again, maybe it's just there's not enough in that one sentence to get, but it does almost sound a little bit like, you wouldn't, Murphy. You'd just be right in there trying to...
It's a little bit of that over the phone too, though, right? It's more dramatic.
Yeah,
You're not
I'm not
also
there.
there experiencing it.
Yeah, you don't know and whatever.
Yeah. Hey, they're just trying to scare me, if anything.
Right. And he does...
What a weird way to scare somebody with a blow dart.
I think I'd be scared if someone was coming after me with I don't know what technology, what century of technology a blow dart.
7th century?
I don't know, but I would be alarmed. I'd be like, what the fuck?
Oh, I almost died. That's unsettling.
Well, and I think that's just it. There is that of the unexpected of it too. But I mean, the thing is, we don't know yet what's on this thing. I'm like, is it gonna make him sick? Is it gonna paralyze
what kind
him?
of
Is
poison?
it gonna kill him? Is it, you know what I mean?
Get them real high.
I
right,
would probably stab myself with it immediately. I'd want to know too badly.
damn curiosity. Oh no, that poor puppy wouldn't stand a chance. She'd be like, here, you try it.
I would not. A sibling, maybe.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, not the puppy. But he already kind of too, because I'm like, it's also a little bit fair that she's worried, because he's like, he does make a fair point that he's just been like standing in the door, because he's like, oh, it's too dark, I can't go like running down the hallway, because I don't know where any of the switches are. Then he's like, oh, wait a minute, I'm just like standing here in the only lit part of the.
Clearly, they didn't have a second dart.
No, clearly, yeah, they weren't expecting that and just took off.
Oh, shit, missed my opportunity.
Ambush predators, right?
That poison must have been
pussies.
like instant kill, though, right? Or like paralyze or something like that, because like.
Presumably something to like
a little bit of salmonella on the end of a dart is not going to do anything immediately.
No. And I mean, again, who knows how, I mean, whether instantaneous immediately or within a few hours immediately, like again, but yeah, that's the thing. It was like something that whenever it kicked in, you would think is, either
it's actually the third eye drug that Victor Sells had.
Right.
I've been
really
waiting for that
crazy
to come back, honestly.
Right? Maybe
I'm
some
like,
of
there
that.
should just still be some kicking around somewhere.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I'm like,
Give
are you
the
just trying to
regular
like
folks a third
incapacitate him for like past the deadline? Or are they completely trying to take him out of the picture and bye-bye Harry, right? But yeah,
Who's to say?
that would be kind of, I wonder how that would affect actually the wizards, because I don't know that Cell sampled much of his product. Like, he was making it, and he was just going loopy on his own because he was all whacked out. But since what it is Harry has access to the third eye, and Cells was just finding
But
a
Harry
way.
can choose to turn it off. The
Yeah.
drug, you have to wait for it to wear out.
I guess
still
maybe
make
in
you go a
that
little
sense.
bit
I guess
crazy.
maybe in that sense is that he still
Forced
wouldn't
to
have
look at everything.
control over it that way. Because so I was going to say, I was like, how do you?
Just
But you're
because
right.
Harry can do the third eye, he
you-
can turn it off immediately.
Yeah,
as well.
you're right. I guess that's where the drug would also inhibit him from being able to. Yeah, so fair enough. Okay, yeah, that's how it would.
Harry continues to look through Arturo's scrapbook and finds a picture of his first ex-Madge, a mystery woman named Raven Velvet, whom Harry figures is the second ex, Lucille, and Trixie, with a rather unfriendly inscription on it.
What, you don't put that to all your friends you stayed exes, or all your exes you stayed friends with? Rotten hell, you pig.
I should start doing that, though.
Maybe that'd keep them from coming back around. Get rid of those fuckers. Jesus. The description of Lucille here, because he's like, soft and pretty, blah, 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 blah. He's like, at first I thought her features were really quite sweet, almost kind, but her expression was an unsmiling, haughty stare at the camera. And I'm like, I don't know if I'm looking at the picture, because that's all you're going by, is like, you're just instantly getting that haughty stare. I'm like, but you kind of assess the features, but you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, if you saw them in the room and be like, oh, they look really pretty, and then they turn around and they're giving you like that haughty stare, then you can be like, not really, right? But I'm like, considering that it just is what
In a photograph, that's harder to...
Yeah, I was like, I feel like that's a little backwards.
There's not as much nuances.
Right? Yeah, I almost feel like it would go the other way. Like, at first she was really haughty, and like the more I stared at it, I could see maybe there was like a softer kind of, but it was just that I was like, I don't know, Harry, I don't feel like I would get the same. But anyways, so yeah, sweet, but not. Maybe. I also just can't, I like the name Lucille enough, but it always takes me to the Kenny Rogers song, which is a very different type of person than this Lucille. Or maybe not in the end, but that one's this Lucille seems a little more worldly than Kenny's Lucille.
So Dresden stops his lollygagging and summons the courage to get to set. He finds a flurry of activity and a numerous crew working.
Way more staff.
Yeah.
Way more stuff.
Harry asks how he can help, and Arturo assigns him to shadow Joan, which makes sense.
That is your job.
And I can understand. I think I would be pretty much in the same boat as Harry, that much as I would want to be like cool and like no big deal, I'm sure I would be awkward and don't know where to look and whatever at the first. But I'm like, I like how he also, feels the need to preface this with the fact that like, okay, so I haven't got laid in a really long time. And so I get for most people this would be great, but it's like this is not the time and place that I would like to enjoy such things, But it was like, well, damn, Harry. I was like, hey, I guess we know, but I'm like, really, that shouldn't be. I'm like, okay, I had gotten laid. I'm going down a bunch of naked women. But that's not really why I want to do it. I was like, oh, man. So, yes.
He's a loser.
Poor Harry. But I'm a professional, damn it. So I will suck it up, and I will go look at those naked women.
Such a hero.
Such a hero.
Take one for the team.
And I guess if I have to look at a couple of naked guys too, well, that's just
Price you gotta
just
pay.
price
for
you gotta
art.
pay. But yeah, so goes down, finds Inari minding the puppy. Apparently minding the puppy better than he thought Murphy was, because she's actually got him on a little leash. It hasn't just put him out to play with the hounds.
Murphy had a door.
Murphy. I'm like, whatever, Harry. You don't know. Murphy had that dog in her office like all day, and like half an hour ago, he was like running around wanting to play, or like Solomon was like, "Let me see the dog," and of course, that's when Harry shows up, like some babysitter. I'm like, pfft. But yeah,
I don't get any indication that he's ragging on Murphy for having done a bad job. He doesn't say anything
no, he
about
wasn't.
it.
No,
Like,
he wasn't. No.
Okay.
No. I think that. No, I'm just
That's just
making.
you, okay.
Yeah, that was just because. Yeah, he makes because when he picks up the dog, he's like, "Hey, Murphy's supposed to be watching you. Some babysitter she is."
Oh.
Like he's like she's. But again, I was like, yes, I don't think he didn't think that Murphy wasn't watching him every second. Yeah.
I kind of love this moment where, so Inari has to take a call. She drew out an expensive cell phone the size of a couple of postage stamps.
Right.
Totally just makes me think of the Zoolander. Like,
Can't turn left.
I put the picture.
Oh,
in my
you
notes
still
here,
have. I
where it's
know.
like
I
this
still have
little
not seen that
tiny
movie.
thing.
Yeah.
It's fucking hilarious because that's where like the smartphones were like
Yeah, it was
not
like-
quite a thing yet. So the flip phones just kept getting
Did
smaller. And
yes,
smaller
that
and
was
smaller.
instead of having our big giant bricks, is again that was a sign of status. Was these nice tiny little that could fit in your pocket or fit in your purse, or even if you were going out for the night and just had a teeny tiny little clutch, you could still slip that sucker in there. And yeah, exactly right. And then it started being like, wait a minute, we can put things on the screens other than just a phone number. And then we're like,
Now we want to carry around
And then they
TVs.
went to the opposite way. And
Now
they're
we're
massive.
but they're thinner. They're not as blocky as the original phones. So it's like we're increasing in like the 2-dimensional size, but not the 3-dimensional size of them.
Less indestructible though.
Yeah.
Those Nokia brick phones were the best.
Right.
You could murder a man with those better than a dart gun.
I will see your glass ashtray and raise you a cell phone.
I bet those would have stood up to Harry even.
The Nokias?
Yeah, just that particular model.
Maybe.
They'd been like, screw you, wizard.
Those things basically were like camp radios.
Yeah. It just that fine line between is it electronic enough? Because the radios again are even simply more.
No.
Yeah,
No, the Nokia brick would.
You think?
Oh, I know.
Those things don't have any technology in them at all.
Okay, but it still had to operate on a cell signaling.
Another great cartoon moment here is when the other person comes running into the room and is like, Genosa, we need your help over here. And he just turns to Harry, and Harry's like,
Yeah.
all right, what's your problem?
No, this is regular shit. You're fine.
I just love the image of like, no matter what decision, anything that needs to happen, do we go left, do we go right, do we go pause,
Is this
stop,
it?
go?
Is
And
this
the
it?
whole room just turns to look at Harry, and he's just like,
Right? I gotta wonder, was this the fashion of the time too? Because so this woman comes rushing in sweeping skirts and peasant blouses, and I'm like, isn't this fairly similar to what he described Lara being dressed in? I'm like, why is everybody in big like sweeping skirts and peasant
I
blouses?
mean, that does seem very 90s to me, just
90s
constant.
grunge almost, right?
Is it? But again, would that be
Not
like
grunge, but-
Lara's height of fashion? You'd think she would be all.
She's in a new fashion every time she gets dressed. She's lived through a billion of them.
I guess maybe, but I don't know. Maybe that was just the vibe Butcher.
This
was
one
in.
doesn't even have a
It's like
name.
people on porn sets are just gonna. this is your comfy clothes before you go, and
We're gonna call her Harriet.
because she's harried. Hey, you might not be single for long, Harry. We've got this lovely woman named Harriet. Wouldn't you just make the cutest couple?
Harry and Harriet.
But yes, gets all paranoid, and he's like, oh god. And he's like, no, it's fine. And then Joan's like, oh, this is gonna be a Trixie thing. And we're like, oh.
Always a tricksy thing.
Oh, it's a Trixie. But like, oh, you're supposed to be on set in 5 minutes? Oh.
Time for a crisis.
Time for, yeah, exactly. So,
Back to investigating, Harry.
You would think that there was behavioral clauses in the contracts, but again, we also know how good
Genosis
Arturo
is with contracts.
It's like, oh, Should have put that in there.
Listen, if you're working with your ex-wife, how are you going to direct her properly, really? How would you be like, you'd be on set in 5 minutes, motherfucker. Like,
Oh my god, I just remember the best lines. So I just rewatched After the Sunset with Pierce Brosnan and Salma Hayek. And so actually that was from 2004. I was like, holy shit, this movie is like 20 years old already? But anyways, there's a great line. So they, thieves take off to some Caribbean island, and the cop on the island is whatever at her desk, and the other, presumably like her boss or something, comes in and was like, hey, you did blah, 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 or whatever. And she's like, yeah, so whatever. And he's like, you're going to stay after and we're going to talk about your attitude. And she's like, you were well aware of my attitude when we got married and well aware of it when we got divorced. She's like, I don't think you're going to learn anything new about it now. I was like, damn. Good point. But it was, yeah.
you see?
So yeah, I feel like this is he's like, what are you going to do with but I guess we can't call her Harriet because actually her name is Marion.
Oh, right.
Curses, she does.
She has a name.
She does have a name. But yes, Trixie's gonna leave, so okay, Arturo's gotta go talk her off a ledge again. So,
Surprise, surprise.
yeah. So I find the way Butcher writes Joan's reactions to just seem bigger to me than what's warranted.
She's way over animated about it all.
Okay, thank you. It's not just me.
No, she's weird.
Yeah, because again, he's like prima donna and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, she throws her head back and laughs. And I'm like, okay, that's like a chuckle worthy. Like it was humorous. But to me, throw your head back and laugh.
Unreliable narrator. Harry's like, I'm so funny. She threw her head back and laughed.
Except he's not like with everybody, sure. But this is the first time. Usually
No,
he's
he
like.
said it to Inari as well.
Okay, but Inari's also 19, and I could see her being a little bit more like, about, but I'm like, Joan's like 40 and stuff like that. Like, again, I'm like, I certainly find Harry amusing, but it was like same thing when he first walked in, his midget haircut comment, and she's like, laugh, 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 and then, here she's like, throwback, and I'm like, these are things, I'm like, I don't know if you just...
She's suspicious.
Right? You just don't want to say chuckle anymore? Or is it just Joan is just particularly like... Because overall, this down-to-earth doesn't seem like the type of person that would be like, oh, about everything. So, okay, I'm glad it's not just me.
She has a crush on Harry, okay?
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, it's just a little
Easily
bit...
amused.
Easily amused, yeah. I don't know.
She's weird, though, because
She's gotta be, otherwise she'd be too bitter to do anything else.
That's maybe fair as
that
well.
too.
But she goes right into insulting Arturo again, right? He's like, well, Arturo's a nice man. Hey, how long have you known him? And she's like, boy. He's a boy. He's a nice boy.
Yes and no, she kind of. But I mean, to me, I always read this conversation with a little bit of like fondness and exasperation. Like, it's not like insulting him.
If it was like the grandmotherly type of character, then I could totally see it. But like... Yes, okay, they have known each other 20 years, which does help break down some professional boundaries or whatever like that. I still find it to be, you just met Harry yesterday and you're taking every opportunity to insult whoever the hell he wants to talk about. Like,
that's true.
There's no loyalty with her at all.
None. She kind of lacks that professionalism.
I kind of disagree a little bit. I don't read it the same way. So I will say Trixie, absolutely. But she friggin' hates Trixie. And I admit, I think we've all been there when you finally have that one coworker.
Trixie is an exception I'm willing to allow, but it doesn't end at Trixie.
It doesn't end at Trixie. But I see, and that's what I'm saying is I don't read this the same way. I didn't read this as picking on him the same way that you seem to. I seem to take it as a little bit more like fondness and that, like, oh, he's not a nice man, he's a nice boy, and he loves too easily, and he wears his heart on his sleeve, and it's just people take advantage of him because he's just too nice, as opposed to being like dissing on him for it.
She talks to him like she's like, yeah, you're a detective. I 100% know that you're a detective.
Well, it's kind of like, in terms of writing mechanics, is just an easy way to get the information and paint sort of a description, and
I was gonna say that
by
way
using the one character to like blab.
Well, yes, that's true. There's that way of, yes, give it one person that kind of fills that role. And again, also, yeah, Dresden doesn't have time to finesse things and really, get to know people. It's like everybody has to tell me everything
doesn't have time or ability.
Everybody's got to tell me on the first day because there's going to be a day two. So, it's not like, oh, wait till the new guy, see if he fits in, right? But
what's really funny is like at the beginning of every book, every time there's like a big conundrum, if Harry just keeps walking into the place, rolling up his sleeve, he's like, all right, I got 12 hours for this shit. Let's just do it right now. Okay?
Yeah, right.
That's all I'm dedicating to this. What's your problem? What's your problem? What's your problem? Okay, now everyone try and kill me.
Maybe there's like this deleted, edited out scene where like Harry actually like casts a spell on himself that causes everybody to just spill the beans at him.
Oh, okay, that would make more sense, because I was going to say, too, I was like, what we know of Harry, even how he kind of describes himself, like, people, well, except that everybody that hates him, but, you know, the people that like him, but I'm like, he's not exactly the type of guy that I immediately picture as people are going to open up and chat to you. You know what I mean? I'm like, you're very tall.
Scary.
Kind of, right? He's very tall, which can be very intimidating. He's like, he always describes his looks as kind of
scares
angular.
the details out of people.
Right? Is that
He
just
dresses like an insane person.
Yeah, like, you know, forget peasant blouses and sweeping skirts. Like, what the hell is it, right? So, but yes, you're right. Everybody immediately is just like, not even just like the short form, is like he always gets details with his questions, you know?
This is one more. Unreliable narrator. He is actually casting mind magic on them, but he's not going to put it in his own documents for the council to get.
Yeah, right. I was going to say,
I'm not writing that down.
I was so by the book. I don't know why the council kept coming after me.
You throw in a couple of on-the-line murders just to make them think that you are still telling the truth the whole time, because why would you include that if you were, like, fucking around, right? But because he includes the ones that were, like, just on the line, he's like, I still got a defense, okay? See? Like, if I'm going to talk about that, clearly I'm telling the truth about everything.
Clearly, yeah.
Obviously.
I would have no reason to.
Remember when we were like, every time he needs money, he goes and hires another kid to go bully Erwin? He's so primed to be the perfect villain because everyone just tells him his secrets right away.
Right? Although, really, in all this technological hoo-ha, really, Harry should just go stand beside an ATM every now and again.
Yeah.
Everybody knows when those things malfunction, they just spit money out.
That's exactly what they do.
Like,
every time.
I'm sure we just like pop open or something. Like, come on, this is all he should need. Like, he could just live off vending machines. He just goes and like everything just like pours out and he just scoops up all of
Just
the
a free bag of Doritos every time he's hungry.
But yeah, I just have to hit up the vending machines at the gym every so often so you can get like a health bar out of it instead of just like chocolate bars and chips.
I need a Gatorade now.
You're right.
So as Dresden and Joan talk, Laura draws the attention as she enters the studio.
Lara Romani.
It turns out she's drawn the attention of the puppy as well, and much of the male staff.
Yes. So yeah, I like how exactly he just plops the puppy on the little bar to bumble. And I'm like, you know, it's kind of good because most of them are going to be smart enough to stop at the edge. So I was like, this is kind of, you don't have a fence, but this is your fence. Like, he can only go this far, otherwise he's
a visible barrier.
Yeah, pretty much, right? I'm like, there's the occasional animals that are dumb, like ferrets will do that a lot too. They seem to have no depth perception or something and will occasionally stumble off very tall heights. But the puppy at least is smart enough that he's like, fine, I guess this is where I'm at. But he starts growling as soon as Laura comes in. So again, good thing Harry already pointed out, because, you know, we knew he got right. It was like, it was him that notified you to the Black Court vampire, and already he's getting twitchy around Lara. And then, yes, of course, obviously everybody else notices, and I think Joan has a pretty good description of the whole Viagra on legs, right? Like, trying or not, Laura's just gonna draw attention.
You can kind of understand why Trixie would be so fucking mad.
Well, yes, you can.
In this one case, she's got a point.
I was gonna say it. Well, but again, right? If she was worth what she thinks she is and good at her trade or whatever, she wouldn't need to worry about. But exactly,
She's insecure and knows she's highly outclassed.
Exactly. So
in
yeah,
every way.
So yeah, 100% Laura's a threat to her that way for sure. Exactly right. She's like, definitely have to worry about being replaced, because you're also just a raging bitch because you have no professionalism. So, you know, even an ounce of that might go a long way for you, Trixie, but no.
So for a while there, Harry actually does do the work of a production assistant. They get on with actually shooting this movie, and everyone's doing their whole job and going about the motions, and Harry's keeping himself as professional as we could really hope to expect from Harry.
Yeah.
I'm proud of him.
Well, really, his production assistant seems to be all this before part, setting up things with Joan, because after that, he pretty much says he has to, like, hang back and not get in the way. And then he almost, like, fizzles out a monitor. So he's like, well, I can't go stand over by the equipment. I don't want to stand too close to the actors. I can't.
He also realizes how awkward filming is for porn, because it's not just, like, one continuous scene. It's like, and stop, and relight, and move, and awkward, and awkward.
Do you kind of like this little background thing?
Not as sexy as one would think.
Yeah, he's like, it really is, like you say, when you get down to the mechanics and the intricacies of it. And again, I just like to put out there, it's not something I've ever really focused on a lot. I've never really thought a lot about how these go down. I do not have a lot of personal experience in, a huge variety of these films. But it's, things that you don't really stop and think about of exactly, like whatever it looks like on the thing is not necessarily that, like you say.
Especially if it's going to be tasteful and higher quality.
Yeah, exactly. If it's just some amateur whatever, you're going to get the...
Doesn't matter what's on the screen. There is movie magic at play.
Yeah. I'm like, even his comment about, he's like, and touch up on the makeup, and he's like, it is not just their faces, you wouldn't believe. And I'm like, yeah, you never think about that. And you're like, that's got to be really awkward when you're kissing and licking and touch. You're like, ew, are you getting like a mouthful of like, foundation off somewhere that like, yeah. So I did kind of appreciate that sort of realistic behind the scenes, whatever that would be on that of exactly like, yeah, you might all think this is a dream job, and it kind of makes sense when Jake says that too, about why maybe it's not as perfect as one would think.
So, here in the book, Chapter 14.
Yes, we are.
Maybe an hour into the shoot, I saw Nari on her phone. Okay, so we're about, 4:30 now? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
As earliest as 4:15.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep.
Oof. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're happy with that?
Yes.
I could maybe a little, I'd maybe give it as much as like even 5 or 5:30, because who knows how long his whole phone call and stuff, and how much taking up the set and Trixie got.
And how long it takes them to get Trixie back from being persnickety, that could have delayed things.
That
Okay,
could have
fine. Let's say 5:30 even as a generous...
Probably was not a 3 or 4 hour delay.
4:30 to 5:30, we'll say. I'm still okay with those numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Damn it, yeah. Harry, you gotta stop. Late o'clock.
You
Butcher.
gotta
Late
stop
o'clock.
putting in the time.
Late o'clock.
It's weird, right? It's so wrong.
And I've stated before, I already have trouble sometimes with like books and movie timelines because they seem to just jump back and forth. You're like, I thought it was night. Is it the next day?
I just don't get why you'd be so specific about it when...
Forget. Well, this actually is another very good point, because the other thing, so I think we'd have to go like chapter 11 and 12 and then 13 or 14, but after Harry has his encounter with Kincaid, he's like, I left the office to go home and grab some food, and then he makes his, I think, or no, the phone calls were still at the office, but whatever does that. Then he heads over to Murphy to get the puppy, and it's either on the way to Murphy or when he leaves on the way to the set, he's like, I went to get some food. So I'm like, so did you not get food at home, or did you not pick up food on the way? Like, or did you mean
still
like...
hungry.
Yeah, or was that still in that general, I was going to get food, but then I stopped at home, and then I went to Murphy's, and then I did, because I'm like, it makes it sound like you're going again, and then you show up, and Nari's like, we're ordering pizza, what do you want for pizza? And, I mean, again, that was offered to him, and who's going to turn, but then again, briefly, he has this, and so I'm like, this is one of the few books where Harry actually gets, like, some rest and food, and, like, normally he's running on empty, but I'm like, you've had, like, 3 meals today so far. And according to the timeline,
It's been 1 hour.
it's been like 3 or 4 hours since you consumed those meals, because it was, so, right? I'm like, one of those things where I'm like, I can easily see as the writer, you sort of, right, you're like, oh, I'm going to have him go get some food, or it seems a logical thing, he's been out and about, people are going to stop and grab lunch, right? And Harry's not running for his life at this moment. But again, you think in the editing and things like this is when the continuity people would be like, I mean, you just like 3 times had him going for food. Like,
yeah.
Did Harry actually go get food 3 times? Or, because most books, like we say, he doesn't eat it all. So, but yeah.
Gets it while he can.
Gets it while he can. But yeah, I was
That's
like,
one of those things, right? You never know when you're going to eat again, Harry.
yeah, this is what you get, folks.
I could be kidnapped.
This is what
Gotta eat now.
Yeah, catch your sleep when you can, eat when you can. So
He needs more fuel being that tall.
Well, and I get that to a point, and even if he had sort of said, like, so being that I burned it all off and, like, by
Kincaid scared the food out of me.
Exactly, I was going to say, my intense reaction to Kincaid burned it all, but it's just the fact that he doesn't make a point of mentioning that he's eating for the 3rd time. It just seems like he's casually forgotten that he's... Right?
I mean, it's just light meals,
Just light.
The vegetarian pizza wasn't that filling, so...
Well, and granted, maybe not, but,
Really, he's just Slim Jim is all he grabbed?
So whether or not it's 4:30 to 5:30 here, Harry happens to overhear that Anari has a crush on Bobby. Maybe she's confiding in her dad, which is weird. Not the person I choose to confide in a crush.
Well, I guess it's not.
He's an involved parent, though.
He's an involved parent. She's not really confiding because she's like, yes, he's so obviously. So we don't know for sure if she's the one, or it could have been like one of her siblings has been like, ooh, and now he's got a crush, and now he knows about it, right?
Still,
but
though.
he's teasing her about it. But that's what's the interesting thing is that she's like, dude, you're supposed to be chasing them off with it. Like, what? We don't know what Papa Ray said, but obviously he's not doing the stereotypical you can't date until you're like 60, you know? He's obviously making some comment about her hooking up, and she's like, Dad, you can't say that. Like, you know? We do know, right? We do know. Yes, Papa, yeah, I was going to say, wait a second, we do know that it is your dad. But yeah, we don't know quite what's going on. Oh, yes, but he gets an opportunity once again to listen.
And Bobby's like still so enthralled in his like sullen antics that like sitting next to Laura and he's like doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. He's like, he's literally just like
sulk in the corner.
Bobby the sullen is like, yeah, exactly. He's still moping over in his. And I'm like, I get, but I was like, well, now you've even got your cute little girlfriend like running around on set. You would think he'd, although I guess, again, same thing in this particular instance. I suppose that would not necessarily be more comforting. It's not like showing up at the office and knowing you're going to get to talk to your girlfriend. You're like, great, she's going to watch me have sex with a bunch of people for the next. So yeah.
Also, we don't know that they're dating. It'll just be a crush.
We do. That's true too.
One-sided crush.
That's true too. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. We don't know more than that. But
so they continue to film without any major incident, and nearing the last scene, Harry notices a shadowy figure run for the exit, and of course immediately runs after them outside.
Sometimes, a bit before midnight, the puppy was asleep in a bed I'd made of him out of my duster. So they've been filming for like
5 hours?
6, 7 hours.
5, 6, 7 hours.
8. Yeah. 8 to 4 to midnight is 8, and 5 to, so yeah, so somewhere in there. So,
and they've got more than one couple performing.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, going into a long day,
different scenes, which
makes sense if they only have 36 hours. Like,
and I was gonna say, it does make sense. Yeah, and exactly, they were hoping to start at 8 o'clock and then hopefully maybe be done at like 8 or 9 o'clock that night.
Yeah,
but since
they lost
that
hours.
Chunk of time in the middle, now then and they didn't get a whole lot done before anything happened this morning. So yeah, I guess. Now it's definitely, this is where it also like actually runs to the norm of, you know, because you always hear about that shoots are like 12 or 14 hours or something, you know, like apparently the movie has like, yeah, we had the same problem. We're like, there's really a lot less going on. Like, there's not as much change of scenery. There's not as much location. There's not as much...
Well, they were pushed back.
You know, plot. But apparently...
And this doesn't sound like a union house, really.
Right? You know, so I'm like, despite the fact that you're not having a complicated plot and moving, like, halfway around the world, but it still takes us,
if
like,
Giselle
15 hours
had kept it together this morning, okay? They might have ended up a little sooner.
Dare you let your neck split open. But point being is it still would have been, like, a full day. Like, again, with the time crunch and everything. It's
waste our time with this deafness.
Yeah.
But it's near deafness.
Unprofessional.
Selfish. But it kind of gives you a little bit more sympathy for, like, Bobby and stuff like that. Because I'm like, I guess in general, when that would be a long time to perform in any, yeah. When you're suddenly dragging it out for, like, 12 or 14 hours, so...
Multiple couples.
Yeah, but nonetheless, how long does your scene stay where you have to be... And
lots of lube, lots of Viagra.
Right? Like,
it's like
you
candy.
Think, and then
pop,
when you like you say, if you screw up the finishing, then how many backups do you have to recreate that? Because you know that's not happening instantaneously. So...
I mean... For the most part, I get where you're coming from. But this is a teenage boy. This is supposed to be the one thing they can do.
Yes, but I still don't think it's like 5 minutes after the fact that they're going to repeat the, let me redo that. Yeah. You know, I'm like, it may be quick.
Young man, not teenage boy.
Young man, well, legal
clearly
teenage.
Gotta be 18.
18, 19. I think Anari's 19, so but yeah. But I was going to say, I guess it gives you a touch more sympathy for maybe where Bobby is coming from and why he's a little bit more sensitive to that. Because I'm like, yeah, I guess, like you say, certain stuff.
Probably pretty young, doesn't want to start the Viagra train yet. Whatever,
right? But definitely leads to interesting questions about other roles that they the certain kinds of assistance they have on porn films that I've only read about in other things, so I can't verify that that's true or not. But
thank God he got his dog from Murphy, though. She'd have been pissed.
Right? It's just
still
definitely
past
by, right? But yes, anyways, something catches his eye in the dark, shadowy corners where he's like holding back and trying to stay out of the way and
blowgun dart guy.
Oh shit! Back again.
Give me back my ashtray.
Right. So yeah, grabs the blasting rod and takes off. Just goes sprinting. Which again, how big is the blasting rod, or how big is his backpack? Because I'm pretty sure he said at times it's like sticking out. I'm like, does anybody wonder why this like production assistant has like a big stick sticking out of his backpack?
Oh, I always assumed it was about the length of a forearm.
It's a wand.
Yeah.
It kind of, well, it's bigger than, I think he may have, I think in some place he does maybe say it's like a couple of feet, but I just know it's thick 'cause he's like, I think he usually describes it as being like as thick as his wrist or something like that, or, so it's not delicate wand. But yes, I just wonder because sometimes he's
I kind of pictured it like maybe like 1 foot long.
Yeah, no, I think he
Maybe
says somewhere
foot and
it's
a
a
half.
couple because I feel like in certain things he like says he's like has it like sticking out, and other times he's like got it tucked into places. So
There's a difference between the staff and the blasting rod.
definitely a huge difference between the staff and the blasting rod, but nonetheless, right? I'm just like, I don't know. But visible or not, anyways, he goes running out after the mysterious lurker down a back alley, and good thing he's taken up running. Although I like how he says that he's usually he's like, granted, I'm usually on the other side of the, it's usually so I can run away from things, not chase them, but hey, I can run better now.
It was a little bit of a struggle.
Manages to gain on him though.
Manages, yeah. Yeah, well, luckily, you get to the whole fence thing.
Melts
so
it a bit.
Somebody's got to, stop and jump up a fence. It gives you that second to... And he's nasty, too.
Like what was this? Blast whips him? Like,
yeah.
what would you call that?
Well, I think he just trips him with it, right? Because it's the actual...
Rod whips?
Rod
Dirty.
whip. Oh, very. It's part and parcel for the...
Keeping with the theme.
Just, yeah, right, yeah. What more appropriate could you have than for him to grab his blasting rod?
Also, this person might potentially be hurting women, so that's like the secret magic word for Harry to get his ass in gear.
That is, yes. Yeah. Right. So oh no, he doesn't. He kicks him. That's right. I was thinking he tripped him with the blasting rod, but he doesn't. He manages to kick him. And that's what fouls him up
kick first.
Yeah.
Kicks, then melts the fence as he tries to get
Yeah.
over the fence, and he falls down, and then he smacks him with the thing.
It just sounds brutal, right? So I understand. I'd be like still trying to get away too, right? For all he's worth. Until you literally have molten fence, and then he's like, okay. And then he's like, I'm gonna just drop back down here now.
Never mind.
I was like, okay, yeah. He's like, whatever you can grab, you can pull at me, you might, but I'm like, okay, that.
Well, the best part is when he realizes it's Thomas, he still doesn't let up. He's just like, smack, punch you in the face, you little ass.
Well, and he promised it to him. But yeah, exactly, just the way he writes it, where he's like, I just laid about him, about the head and neck with my blasting. I'm like, damn, ow. But yeah, exactly. And he's like, okay, it's me, right? So yeah, he backs off. He's like, geez, Harry, I'm sorry. And then whack, pop, right, like you say. And there's a part of you that is like, holy shit. And part of me is like, no, but wait. He absolutely positively said at the end of that, at Arturo's office or whatever, after meeting Lara, and he's like, next time I see Thomas, I'm going to have to punch him in the nose.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, oh,
Promises kept.
wait, yeah. I was like, okay, I'm
Way
maybe...
to follow through.
Yeah, I was like, all right, fair. This is probably why you didn't, like, let up when you found out. And you're like, wait, you fucker. I'm like, no, I actually have a good excuse now. But yeah, I like how that's what startles him more than anything.
Dresden begins to accuse Thomas of using him and knowing more than he's letting on, but before he can get any answers, Lara ambushes him with a gun from behind.
He does the whole, like, oh, here, and he's like, shut up. He's like, I went all quiet, because that's, like, scarier. And then he's like, all like, yeah, there's more. He's like, you put me in mortal peril at least 1.5 times already. So I'm assuming, so would the one time be when the curse came through the first time, because he may have gotten, like, electrocuted, or since they didn't know more about the stink eye, what is it called? Evil eye. That he might have been taken down with that. So it's like, is that the first time? And then is the half time this, like, almost with the blow dart? Like, what exactly is constituting this 1.5 times of peril? Which is the one and which is the half?
I'd almost play the blow dart as one because that was aimed for him.
Maybe. So half being that it could have been collateral damage. And,
But when you're mad, so you just like pile everything on him. He's also counting the Kincaid incident, even though technically he wasn't going to die there.
I
don't know. My life was threatened then too.
I'm like,
so fuck you.
It's cute. I like it, but I was just like, I just kind of like, he's like, he's like,
Just
at least
randomly
1.5.
picking numbers out of the air.
Right, like, exactly. Is it just in terms of...
I'm too pissed to think, so I'm just gonna shout a number at you.
37 times a day, you idiot. What the hell?
Right, and saying, and again, for me, that's usually the way I go. I always go for the huge overstatement, and
I imagine it is a very white court thing, and Thomas has graciously set up this brand new job for Harry to go and be an extra on a porn set. And, I hear you haven't been with Susan in a couple of months. I'm going to do you this favor.
I think that's the ulterior motive, is it? I'll just... Easy pickings, Harry.
I'm just doing you a favor. Come on, what's the problem?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I sort of hadn't thought about the favor bit that way. Yes.
But yes,
yeah, just want
give me one good reason I shouldn't blast your lying mouth off. Laura Romani.
I'll give you 2.
Click, click.
This concludes our episode 12.10, Revolutionary Boink Czar. Thank you for listening. You can find us online at freeflowrambling.com and McAnallys.ca. There we have links to our other podcasts, social media, and other fun tidbits. Please subscribe if you like what you're hearing, and please consider supporting us through Patreon to keep the magic alive and to see more content. We are Free Flow Rambling. Conjure by it at your own risk.